What is up, bros? Me, Josh, here, and in today's video we're going over a couple things, but mainly the German destroyer line, which just hit World of Warships today, and I'm pretty freaking excited for this line. Some things I want to go over really quick, though. There is a few things they've just added into the game with the latest patch. One, if you didn't know, there's a couple extra challenges going on right now. They're going to be live for a couple more days, so you can get some extra Commander XP, as well as a Type 6 camo, so that's definitely nice for that. You can also get some new awards that will give you some of the new end of the year camos. These new ones, the New Year 2012 camos. I think if you do them, I think you end up getting about 100 or so. So that's pretty nice. And these are actually really cool camos. 200% to free XP earned in the battle. So not only will that help you towards the Missouri's big price tag of the 750,000, but it can also help you towards a bunch of other stuff. So if you have an Anshan, you are perfect for getting a ton of free XP. You can stack that up with the Papa flags and all kinds of stuff. Definitely use and abuse these camos. I think you can earn about 100 or so doing all kind of the new achievements that are in the game, and that's like winning games and doing so many hits and that kind of thing. So there's probably a list somewhere on Reddit or the internet that shows what all the achievements are. So some new achievements coming, you can get some free camos. There is also two new missions or the campaigns coming out, and these will actually start tomorrow. So if you can see, hunt for the Grafspy. This is something that was rumored that was going to come to the game, and it looks like the Grafspy will probably be the reward ship for this task. This is probably going to be kind of like the honorable service one, where it's a bit harder, but there's less missions, and which the Shinonome was the reward for this. So it looks like the Grafspy is going to be the reward for the hunt of for this campaign. And then there's an easier one. Looks like over here, more missions. I'm just guessing it's going to be like that. So pretty cool. You can get the graph speed here, and then some other rewards, maybe some more premium time or other things like that. So these will start tomorrow as well. So new missions, new campaigns, definitely something cool to look forward to. But the main reason we're making this video is the German DDs are finally here. Finally here. If you guys missed it on my stream the other day, we played a bunch of them, and the line is actually pretty solid. If you need a play style for this line, or you are interested in how these things play, imagine a line that is a mix between the USN DDs and the Russian DDs. Now, these are a bit stealthier than the Russian, but they have a bit better firing arc than the USN. Imagine if those two lines kind of made a baby, and then there's the German DDs. So these are going to be a bit heavier gunship DDs, but they also have some pretty solid torps. You know, if you've ever played the Russian line, they're going to have pretty short range torps until you get really high tier, but they're going to be mainly guns first and high detection. Now these ones have relatively high detection, and but with the certain captains and everything, you get them down to about the USN line. So they're not quite as stealthy as a lot of the USN ships, but they're pretty close with a little bit better firing arc. So pretty freaking cool. Now going through this line, there are basically, I think the first couple low tiers are super seal clubbers. Tier 2, I think, is the new quote-unquote top seal clubber of the Umakaze. I think this thing is disgustingly good at 5.2. Yes, I said that right. Without a 15-point captain, 5.2 kilometers detection. That is insane. And most all these, I think, can stealth torp right away. I mean, with the torpedoes, it already has 6-kilometer torp, so it can already stealth fire. But these are gun-heavy, fast-firing ships, so these are pretty freaking fun to play. I really enjoy the gunboat style DDs. They're a lot of fun. Relatively low fire chance on the majority of the line, but all in all, it's a lot of fun to play them. So the first couple are pretty freaking strong, especially the tier 2. These are really strong ships. Now, I think the low point of the line, which isn't even really that low, is the mid area of this ship. You get to the tier 5, the tier 6, tier 7. This is when the detection range starts to get pretty high for this ship. So if you don't have a really high level captain, and most people won't at this tier, these are going to be kind of tough for ships to play. I say this is the quote-unquote low point of the line, but they're still really strong. So, like, they're still really good, but that's just like the low point line. I really enjoyed this line. This will probably be, I think the tier 5 is kind of one of the weakest ships on the line. Tier 6, tier 7 are kind of mediocre, but they're still good. There's still fun ships to play if you like that gunboat style. I mean, you get to the tier 6, I mean, 7.6, so you can get down to about 7.3. The detection's relatively high, but I mean, most DDs are at that tier anyway. But just the up tier that the tier 5, tier 6, and tier 7 are getting. The matchmaking, you're going against higher ships, you're going to get kind of picked on. So just be a little careful here. The one cool thing is the tier 6 is the first one in the line that's going to get sonar, and tier 6 and up, everyone gets sonar. So that's pretty freaking cool. It's the second time in the game that we've seen a destroyer with sonar. The Lo Yang was the first one to bring sonar into the game as a destroyer. So one thing you can do is you can charge enemy smokes and absolutely punish them for sitting in their smoke. It's German sonar, so it's really strong. I think the average is about right around 4.5 kilometers for the sonar for spotting ships. So definitely awesome, being really, really aggressive and hunting down DDs. One of the downside is, as you get higher in the line, the bigger the ships get. These are pretty big ships, so you're going to get picked on by cruisers, battleships, and a lot of other stuff. I think the line gets really good about tier 8. Tier 8, although the detection is really high, you will have the upgrade to get the concealment down even lower, and probably by then you'll be really close to a 15-point captain if you're using flags throughout the entire line. You don't have it already. So tier 8 and up, I think, are really awesome. I fell in love with the Z46, the tier 9. This thing was crazy good. I loved it. But again, it's a pretty big ship, and kind of got picked on by their stuff, you know, especially against like a Fletcher and that kind of thing. But you can get really stealthy down to about Fletcher detection level. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this line is the tier 6 and the tier 8 have different choices of gun calibers. Now, they start out with the beginning of 128s, but they have the choice of going to the 150s. This is kind of the first time we've seen this in Destroyer line, of having an ammo change. We've seen them in some of the battleship lines of choosing different ammos. We've seen that, you know, especially the Mogami, the 155s, and the 203s. This is the first time we've seen destroyers having the different change in gun calibers like this. One thing you need to keep in mind is, if you do kind of pick a captain that will go throughout the entire line, AFT will no longer be affected by the 150s. They're just too big of a caliber, so AFT doesn't affect it. So in my opinion, I think the 150s are very mediocre. The reload time is the thing that kills it for me. Now, these things can definitely hit hard and punish other cruisers, but is the upside of taking a captain. Now, let's say you want to hold on to a tier 6 or a tier 8 and have a specialized captain for those tiers, then that's one thing. But if I'm going to keep a captain throughout the entire line, I don't know if I would take... I mean, I would just take AFT and take the smaller calibers. I mean, as you can see, just this reload of 5.1, you can get them down a lot lower than that with basic firing training and stuff like that. But almost doubling it, I mean, 1.5, you know, 150%. I mean, I just don't really feel like... I played one game in it where I used the 150s. I played a few games in it, and I really think I lost the game because I was rolling the 150s, just because I couldn't hit things as often as I needed to. So there's the downside of that. So I'll go over to captain a little bit on what I would roll. It's pretty simple, but I think I would stay with the 128s on the majority line. Now, there's only two of them. It's the tier 6 and the tier 8. Other than that, there isn't any ammo change. So as you go up through the line, let's say you took demo expert and you wanted to go the 155 or the 150s, it would kind of be, I wouldn't say wasted, but as you get higher in the line, there's no use for it, and you want that extra range. Trust me, you want that extra range for these destroyers because they're gunboats. It's just like the Russian DDs. The first captain skill I get at the tier 4 is AFT. You want to be able to hit things from as far away as possible. So the 150s, I think they're kind of a niche thing. Maybe they're fun to play every once in a while, but I think if you're just keeping one captain throughout the entire line, I don't think it's quite worth it. So that's just my opinion on the 150s. I would stick with the 128s and just keep AFT and be a fire-breathing dragon that these things could potentially be. So jumping into the captain for this line, this is what I would really take. Now, this is an ideal perfect world 17-point captain, in my opinion. I would take basic firing training first. Last stand, of course. Please take last stand. Please don't be that DD that doesn't take last stand. Superintendent for 3, want that extra smoke. Definitely helps a lot. Yes, I know this is on my trip, it's captain, but I just haven't switched over to captain for the higher tiers one yet. Advanced firing training. You want that extra range for main calibers for under 139 millimeters, so definitely take AFT. I would go with concealment. You need it. I was struggling with, when I was playing some of the ships, about not having a low enough detection, so definitely getting picked on by other ships. As soon as you can grab concealment expert, definitely. And then I would snag the torpedo armament expertise as a 17-point captain if you have the ability to. The gun turrets do turn all right. There are some of the middle tiers, even the tier 8, the gun turrets turn kind of slow. Especially some of the mid tiers, you're going to kind of get that mid-tier Russian level where it's kind of like the Ognoy of kind of slower turrets. Now, it does kind of get brutal for a little bit, but you should be all right to kind of just skip over expert marksmanship and go straight for torpedo armament expertise. This will help you a lot in the higher tiers. I was speccing out the tier 9 as a full torpedo armament and a full torpedo reload, and it was a lot of fun to play that. And and get torps, I think, out every 60 seconds. So pretty freaking brutal. This is the main build I would run. Now I kind of hypothesize maybe rolling a demo expert and AFT and doing the triple fours here, which you see on a lot of Russian ships. I just think that you really want the detection to get as low as possible on these ships because you are very competitive even against USN detection. So this is what I would run. If you want to go pretty freaking aggressive, you could go for the triple fours and grab all three of these. Now, this is before the line changes. They said they're going to change the captain's skill in 2017 and early part of 2017. So this is just with the current captain trees now. This is what I would run this build. Remember to grab last stand before torpedo armament. Now, as for playstyle in these ships, playstyle is you are a gunboat with really good torpedoes. You don't have as bad of an arc as you do on the USN, so not quite going around the moon, but it's not as good as the Russian line. So you can definitely be effective. With AFT, you're definitely still going to hit stuff at max range and you can kind of be semi-aggressive. One thing you got to be really careful though is your smoke is not like any other smoke in the game. Your smoke only lasts for 20 seconds, so it is basically an oh crap button. Let me pop smoke, let me bail. One thing I did a lot with this ship is I would engage an enemy ship. As soon as maybe I got spotted by too many things or whatnot, I would then pull away and use smoke to then lose detection, because you do have until you get that 15-point captain, you do have a high detection range. So kind of using the smoke as kind of like an oh shit button, bail, let me reset, and then I'll come back in. And the smoke only does last for 20 seconds. It's not like a USN DD where you can lay a smoke, let a battleship sit in it for a long time, and then they're good. It's a 20-second smoke. It's very, very short. So it's kind of a defensive tool like smoke is supposed to be, and not more like an offensive tool like a lot of people have used it in the past. So just something to keep in mind with that play style. But what do I do? When I played this ship, I shot pretty heavy and often. The fire chance is pretty low. Now you can run the flags that will help you give an extra % or two and really start lighting a couple extra fires. But you have a high fire rate on this thing. Pretty quick reload. Most of them are under 4 seconds as long as you're taking the 128. So it's definitely a fun ship. Shoot heavy, shoot often. You can hunt down enemy DDs and have a really good chance at really taking out enemy DDs and just enemy ships. The one thing too is, like I said, you're kind of the in-between of a USN and a Russian, so you have these really good guns, but you also have really good torpedoes. Most of them have really interesting ranges of like 9.5 or 8.5 range, but most of them are pretty decent range torps, so definitely use those as much as you can. I found this was the line that I was getting a lot of really good torp hit games as well as main battery hit games. You know, if you play a lot of Russian DDs, you're gonna go a lot of games with getting 0 torp hits. That's because their guns are the main way to do it. Kind of the same, I think, against USN. There's a bit of a mix there, but I think the German line is really fun of getting a lot of torp hits as well as a lot of main battery hits. Use the torps as much as you can. Use them to push out a smoke. Push the smoke when you can with the sonar, and use the sonar to protect you. This line is going to be a lot of fun, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the line so far, how it fits in World of Warships. I'm having a blast playing them so far. We'll be playing them tonight. We'll start in the low tiers. As I said, the low tiers are really fun. The high tiers are really fun. And then the middle tiers are kind of, they're okay. I find the ships to be okay. I need to play a little bit more and kind of test them out again. But all in all, I think the line is a blast. I'm really excited. I love Destroyer play, and I'm excited for a new line like this to kind of join the game and have a blast playing it. So that is it from me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.